So tonight, we have Pierre Issa, who is our guest speaker. Can I have the picture over there? So actually, I know Pierre since we were maybe 9 or 10 years old. We were Boy Scouts together. He was younger than me. I was his chief. I was maybe 11 years old at that time. And you can see here, the first one is me, but more important, the second one, who is Pierre, right behind me. I found this in my archives. I was very proud to have it. So that's when I knew Pierre, and then because we were 3 years apart, we were not together really for many, many years, and we haven't seen each other, but it's funny that there was a friendship that was born in these years of Boy Scouts, which never disappeared. So the year passed, we went through the war, I left Lebanon, and the next thing I hear that, well, did you know what Pierre Issa did? I said, well, Arc-en-Ciel. So 20 years plus ago, I went to Beirut, I called Pierre, and I went to see him in Arc-en-Ciel. And I just couldn't believe what he had achieved with his handicapped center, that he will tell you more about it, and Kim, also his daughter, basically changing the life of the handicapped, which were being hidden in their home as a shame for the society, to productive, proud, dignified member of the society. And that's unbelievable that he's done that in Lebanon. And I tell you, I was feeling at that time, I was a physician in New York, as many of you know me, very happy in my job, which I'm still happy with. But I felt like I want to stop being a doctor and go work for Pierre 20 years ago. I mean it, I really do. He was so inspiring to me. And not I can tell you that I said that to her many times. I still feel the same today, believe it or not, more than ever. So, Pierre, we would like you to come up here. So tonight, actually, I'm going to have a difficult task to make you discover who Pierre is as a guy, because Pierre is very little known. I'm always impressed by when I say, do you know Pierre Issa? No, we don't know. This is a guy who did Arc-en-Ciel. Ah, Arc-en-Ciel, we know Arc-en-Ciel. So Pierre has succeeded to create an incredible organization, and him being completely in the background, running the show without showing who he is and whose name is. But he was recognized 2 years ago by Davos, where he got the prize of the yearly, the prize of 2015, which was the prize of the social entrepreneur of the year in Davos, which was amazing. Among many other prizes, this is not the only one. So tonight we're going to have a very friendly conversation with Pierre, so you can discover the kind of guy he is. Then Kim will present to us what Arc-en-Ciel does, and then you'll have the floor to ask him all the questions that you want of any kind. Welcome, Pierre.
Thank you.
Can you test the mics? Both of them are working? Can you see it? Okay, great. So Pierre, we start always with the same questions. Usually when we have an ancien who comes here, is that when you were in school, what were you dreaming about? How were you seeing yourself in the future when you were in seconde, première, about to finish school?
I don't think I ever thought about future. I was very happy at the moment, and I'm still. So,
that's a very fair answer.
And let me first thank you. I'm honored to be here, and especially, I learned it's a fundraising dinner. In 33 years of Arc-en-Ciel, we never had any fundraising dinner, so it's a premiere for me. And I heard that you had a previous very impressive guest speaker. I'm humbled when I see the list. You have tycoon of car industry, finance, and IT, etc. So let me tell you, it's written on my card that I'm class of 75. I never ended school. I, I was kicked out from school by the Jesuits in the 5e. But nevertheless, I spent 12 years till the 5e. So, as you can imagine, I never had good grades, okay? And I heard that the previous speakers did a very good performance, and they were able to raise big money, a lot of funds. So it's my last chance to have, for once, a good grade. Please help me do so. So even the previous speakers, you can as well help me having a good grade. So I never thought about the future. I was always very happy in the moment, and I'm still always living the moment and not looking a lot forward.
So can you tell us a bit for your journey from being kicked out in 5e all the way to become a pioneer for the work with handicap? And many years later, I hear that you've done hospital waste, waste management, eco-village, eco-tourism. I mean, I can't keep up with you anymore. My problem tonight is if we can talk about all what you do, but give us an idea of how you did that from the 5e all the way to who you are today, or what you've done today.
I think the journey started before the 5e, because Father Batul told us how the school, how Jamhour teach excellency, etc., and the ways we can be linked to NASA through the Silicon Valley and such things. But I was none of all this. I was very bad at school, etc. But they also taught us to love, to forgive, and to have empathy. And this and I will never be thankful enough to what they taught me, because they taught me to be happy. And by having empathy and helping others. And this started with this photo. You were my chief, and you were in the process of teaching me empathy and helping others, etc. So I have to thank you. And it started like that. And then I don't know if you want to hear the real story, because you know. So I left Jamhour, and you know, the new pedagogy. They thought probably Jamhour is not made for him. He's too free-minded, etc., etc. But obviously, I was not done for school, because other school also kicked me out. So it wasn't a Jamhour thing. So then I had early hard adolescence. I went through several years of hard time. Nevertheless, I was happy. I had several years of hard drugs, and then 5 years of violence during the war. I was involved during the war. And then I had very hard time to get out. Yes, I tried several programs in Lebanon, in Deir al-Salib. I tried other hospitals. I went also to France, to Marmottan, which is famous for drug addicts, and it didn't succeed. Then, thanks also to Jamhour, I'm autodidact, a big reader, and I developed my own theory and method. And among several points, I had to take care of others and of the problems of the others. And I went and I volunteered in a center specialized for rehabilitation, disabled rehabilitation. And after 2 years, it worked for me. I get rid with all my addictions. And I saw all my friends. I lost, at that time, maybe 70% of my close friends because of drugs or because of the war. And the ones who remained had a very bad and very hard time till now. And these last 2 years, I lost 4 of my friends because of drugs. Okay, they didn't get out. So it worked for me, and it was thanks to the disabled persons. So if I'm here today, it's thanks to them. And at that time, I thought that if I'm alive, I am alive, it's thanks to them. So every day I have in my life, I owe it to them, and I will give it to them. And so we start, a friend and I, who was working with me in this center, and we started Arc-en-Ciel. It was very small. It was in a factory my family owned, and we called it Arc-en-Ciel because we're almost all Lebanese here, and you know that these charity things and this, education, health, youth, orphans, all these type of things are done by community in Lebanon. You have the network of Catholic schools, and you have the Ma'asid and the Mabarat. It's the same for the hospitals, and it's the same for orphanages, etc. So we did it as Arc-en-Ciel. We called it Arc-en-Ciel because it has all the colors, and Arc-en-Ciel, rainbow rays for everyone. And we started this against the way it used to be done in Lebanon. And we now have Arc-en-Ciel all over Lebanon, from the extreme north to the extreme south, and from the coast to the extreme Bekaa Valley. So we started very small, and we were not sectarian and apolitical. And the money, the donations are two kinds. You have the public money, and usually it comes from abroad, from Europe and from the UN agencies, etc. And you have the private funds. The private funds comes from people like you and me who wants to give. So we decided to run the NGO as an enterprise, to try to be as self-sustainable as possible. And we were criticized for 25 years because we were running this NGOs, which becomes a group of NGOs and social entrepreneurs, social enterprises. We were criticized for 25 years, and then suddenly we started getting award. We were awarded because we are a very good social enterprise. The word social enterprise didn't exist at that time, and now that it's the trend, so we have award from everywhere because we are a social enterprise.
Pierre, can you explain NGO versus social enterprise? Because I think a lot of us are confused by NGO and what is social enterprise. What's the difference?
Okay, there's a big difference. Actually, it's not the same thing. NGO is legal form of the entity. You can be an NGO, Société Anonyme, a cooperative. This is the legal status of the institution. And then what the institution does is it can be a social enterprise, or it can be any other activity. It can be a hospital, a school, or something else. So a social enterprise is any enterprise that in its core business is fair and green. Okay? Any enterprise. It can be, no matter the legal form of its of the organization. So an NGO is a non-governmental organization, but it can be a cooperative, it can be a Société Anonyme, or anything else, running a social enterprise or running something else.
So all of us here love Lebanon. We are here for that reason, but all of us also are discouraged all the time by Lebanon is falling apart, the corruption in Lebanon, we wanted to come back, but we decided not to because it's hard to come back with the mentality that is there, etc. We have 50 reasons to say that it's failing, and we still see incredible positive things. So how were you able to continue working in the worst time of Lebanon, starting in a very difficult situation with handicapped people? How are you able to cope with all the corruption or all the difficulty that you have to achieve anything in Lebanon?
You know, the difficult part is not mainly for the disabled program we have, because, you know, people in Lebanon, even the corrupted people in the power, etc., are somehow superstitious. Okay, so they don't make a lot of problems when you deal with disability because they are afraid of this. But we have several other programs like agriculture, health, education, and we do things differently. So when we talk about education, we try to educate people. We have a circus school. School for circus for the young people who left school, etc., because they don't have self-confidence and they don't believe in others. And with the school, the circus school is the perfect way to teach them to know the importance of the others, because their life depends on the others and vice versa. And in another hand, they have self-confidence because they are able to do things even you as a doctor can do. You cannot juggle with 4 or 5 balls, and they can. So they have self-confidence, and they have, again, so in the education part, and we have a school for parents and several other activities. In agriculture, environment mainly, we have a lot of difficulties. We have a lot of difficulties. So each time we have to choose. And also thanks to the Jesuit, I learned to make the difference between what is essential and what is secondary, even if the secondary is very important. So what is essential is what God creates. And for the non-believer, it's what man didn't create. So, okay, and the secondary is everything man create. So, and it can be very important. For instance, God create earth and people on earth, and man create the countries and the borders. God didn't say this is Italy, this is France, this is the States, and this is Canada. This is Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, or something. So it's very important. I am patriotic and I like my country, etc. But if you ask me to kill this Israeli or this Palestinian or this Syrians that God creates, to protect this country that man creates, you are asking me to put the secondary, even if it is very important, before what is essential, and I will go through direct to the war. So we always have choices. We have 4 or 5, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, centers to treat hazardous waste. You know, hospital waste, etc. And we have 3 or 4 others to treat solid waste. You need permit, all kind of permits. And we are not having the permit for several reasons that you can imagine, okay? And what's more important is to treat the hospital waste, the hazardous waste, or to wait and to please the minister and to wait for the permit or not. So we have such choices. So we don't pay bribery, we don't get the permit, we don't care about the permit, but nevertheless we treat the hazardous waste. So it's not easy every day, but when you know and you are used to make the difference between what is essential and what is secondary, everything gets very easy. And for the believers, we have the providence. So we give Caesar what remains to Caesar, and to God what remains to God. Yes. You know, when you are stamped Jesuit, it's for a lifetime.
So what also impressed me when I see you every time is that you've done incredible achievement and you continue to do so. But when I see you, it looks like you're doing nothing at all. You're always relaxed, that you have all the time in the world for the person who's with you. And I am always impressed by that. I don't know whether it's the same, but really I'm impressed by the calm you have, knowing how many things are going on while you are sitting talking with me, or other people, obviously. How do you do that?
You know, you can't imagine how the team is important. And we have now, we were 2 persons. Now we are maybe more than 600 employees. And, and you know, a very big percentage of these are persons with disability. You know, with physical disability, mental or visual, you know, hearing impaired, but mainly social disability. You know, ex-drug addicts, ex-prisoners, people with AIDS and suicide or things like that. And this type of person were marginalized, were seen as a burden to society. You can't imagine the potential of these people, the passion and the dedication of these people. And having a team of this kind is a blessing. And Arc-en-Ciel is made by them. And it's very relaxing to lead this type of team.
So you talked about God and what God did do, etc. How does the religion play in your life? What does religion does to you in what you do?
So religion is made by man, okay? So it's very important, but it's not essential. What is religion is meant, it's an education, is like a manual de pédagogie to teach us to learn what is essential and what is secondary. And unfortunately, very often, and this time unfortunately, we use religion and we put religion in front on the essential, okay? And religion, at the beginning, its purpose is to teach us what is essential and what is secondary. And now we kill people that God created on the name of religion. So we are putting the secondary because religion is man-made. And so the religion is a manual de pédagogie, and the faith is something else.
You certainly have faith, obviously. That's what I feel when I see you.
Sure. I have faith in mankind, even our Lebanese politicians.
So, Pierre, today we have a lot of young people this evening. Actually, we've been having every year more and more young generation. I mean, how many are graduated after 2000 here? How many? Raise your hands. How many? Yeah. So, you know, what would you advise to the young Lebanese students here who are looking for the future, not knowing what they want to do, looking for a job or for a journey that they need to do? What would you recommend to them?
Hard question, but I'll come back to essential and secondary. You know, I spoke about social enterprise because this is what I'm doing, and it's having in the core business being fair and green. Fair because fair between and among people, okay? And God create people, and God create the nature. And if we don't take care of them, we will go direct to the wall. And now, unfortunately, our generation is not leaving you a very nice world. Okay? It's unfair, it's not green, we are burning our planet. So no matter what you are doing it in your core business, being fair and green.
Okay. The other issue is that you started this huge association today was 2 people. And now you are relinquishing the control, you're stepping back. And how do you feel about it? It's always a hard thing when somebody started something, the whole thing is standing on that person, and we're always afraid that when that person leaves, it's going to fall apart. And it's true for everything that, is done usually. So.
Yeah. We were 2. Now, one of the 2, a very good friend, is being comment on dit ordonné? Ordained priest at 69 years old. He's 69, and on December 9, he will be ordained. And I stepped back 2 years ago, and I think it's better to let the new generation talk about it and how it's going and but I feel very well, and I'm pleased to see that Arc-en-Ciel is doing much better without us, than with us.
Okay, so actually we're going to continue now and have Kim come up here. Kim.
Thank you.
And then Pierre will come back later on for the Q&A with Kim. So Kim is going to really present to us what Arc-en-Ciel does.
Should I keep this one or I
No, Kim is going to talk here on this microphone.
Oh, okay.
So Kim is the generation of the future. Like all of you guys over here, we're very proud of her. I'm sure that her parents are very proud to have her. And we're very pleased to have you. You are actually the youngest speaker we've had so far in Jamhour, number 1.
I'm flattered.
and the first woman as well. Okay, yes.
This I like best.
And actually, Kim showed me a little 3.5-minute clip about what they do, which is amazing, very powerful, very well done. And after this, she's given us a 5-6 minutes about what they do, more details. So can we have that clip, guys, over there?
So this is Arc-en-Ciel's 2016 impact report. We're working on 2017. So these are numbers from last year. It's 3.5 minutes, but I think it will give you a good overview of our activities.
before Kim comes up, I think we need to make sure that Pierre has a good grade tonight. And we're going to measure that by how much money we're going to raise for the school tonight. So I beg you to make sure that he comes out with a certificate of bonne conduite tonight, please. So we are still waiting for more donation. I think we raised about 27,000, which is far from the goal we are hoping to reach tonight, which we're hoping to reach between 150 and 200. I know that other people will give later on, but try your best, please. And we need you. We need to educate people to make things happen like we see in Arc-en-Ciel now, because thanks to education, that's what we're seeing today. So Kim, the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Just about the video, this video was made by a person who's narcoleptic, one who is schizophrenic, and one who is autistic. All right, so I only have a few minutes. I'm not going to talk about Arc-en-Ciel. You saw most of our activities in this video. And since this is about Pierre, and Pierre has played such an instrumental role in Arc-en-Ciel and in getting it to where it is today, I'm going to be talking about what's next. How do we get to generation 2? And how do we make sure that even after the founders are gone, how do we make sure Arc-en-Ciel stays sustainable so that the mission and the things we are doing keep on going even after our founders are doing other things? So basically it's, how to get rid of Pierre. As you can tell, Arc-en-Ciel gives the strong impression of having a one-man syndrome. And 2 years ago, this was true. But since 2 years, a lot of things have changed. The one-man syndrome is very common. It's not something that you see only in charities. You can see it a lot in startup founders. You see it in family businesses. We have a lot of them in Lebanon. You even see it in private and public companies. When the main founder leaves, then what happens? And I'm sure you all live it, or you all at least see it, both generations. So back to Arc-en-Ciel. Pierre's role was instrumental. And he did try to leave the CEO position twice before. But every time he had to come back. So having founders around is great, but it makes sustainability a little bit challenging. So now, 2 years after Pierre hasn't set foot in Arc-en-Ciel, we feel that we found a solution. And I must say it's the first time we actually talk about this. So as Arc-en-Ciel, we give a lot of speeches on social entrepreneurship, etc. But it's the first time we talk about Arc-en-Ciel's restructuring for it to become more sustainable. We feel we now have the right to do it because it's been 2 years and we're still going. AUB is writing a case study actually on Arc-en-Ciel sustainability, and this is what I'm going to talk to you tonight about very quickly, how we're trying to make Arc-en-Ciel sustainable even after the founders leave. There are 3 things we learned that we should do. First of all, we should institutionalize the structure. Then the founders should actually leave. And 3, the people of the future should respect their past. So how did we institutionalize? Basically, we exploded a big structure into many smaller structures, and we empowered the unit heads of each one. You don't replace a one man by another one man, because if not, you're just postponing your problem to the next generation. What you should do is move from a structure that is very vertical, where one person decides on everything, to one that is a bit more horizontal. And so people in different levels can decide on different things. So institutionalize the structure is the first one. The second one, Pierre understood that the founder should actually leave, physically and technologically. He had already left twice, once in 1994 and once in 2005, and both times he had to come back. In 1994, he passed on to another CEO, and he went on to be CEO of the Rights and Access Program, which was a program in the Ministry of Social Affairs. Because this program was a program about people with disabilities, he basically brought back the program into Arc-en-Ciel and became more hands-on than ever. So first time fail sustainability. And in 2005, same thing, he left and he gave the hand to a new CEO to bring Arc-en-Ciel to an international level to Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. And to restructure the Jesuit domain of Ta'anayel. But again, he was still in the executive, so again, in people's subconscious, Pierre was still the leader. So what he finally decided to do in 2014 was to leave all executive positions completely. So institutionalize, and the founder should actually leave. And finally, the third one, people of the future should respect their past. When we started thinking about this, we took a step back and tried to look at structures that lasted this test of time. We looked at a lot of structures that failed. Once the founder left, the organization only lasted a few years. But then we looked specifically at the Scouts movement that lasts long after Baden-Powell is gone, and at the Red Cross that also lasts long after Henri Dunant is gone. What did they have? What is it that they did for these movements and these structures to stay in place even after these charismatic founders were gone? They had three things. They had efficient methods. And like I said, at Arc-en-Ciel, we have a lot of methods and we keep developing them all the time. They had strong institutional culture. And at Arc-en-Ciel, we're lucky because we have a very strong no-power culture. Basically, no one is here to just climb up the ladder. Everyone is here to put their skills where they are most needed. It's something that inspired us from the Jesuits, actually, where from one day you can be the rector of USG, and the next day you become a lecturer and do both with the same passion. It is the same at Arc-en-Ciel. You can be one day CEO and then lead a smaller unit if your skills are needed there. So we had this no-power culture. You could also see, if you come to any of our centers across Lebanon, you can see our culture on our walls. You'll see photos of past events. You'll see photos of the first activities that we used to do in the 1980s for small fundraising, etc. And you will see slogans. These slogans are our values that Pierre translated into slogans that are spread all across our centers. Finally, the third one is traditions. So you need efficient methods, you need a strong institutional culture, and you need traditions. And traditions we did not have, but we are now consciously creating traditions with events that happen every year, like a Brocante des Artistes or a Hara festival, that are things where everybody participates. So here are three things that we understood. In order for an organization to become sustainable post their founders, you need, first of all, to institutionalize the structure. Second, for the founders to actually leave. And the third one is that people of the future should respect their past. I'm sure a lot of you must think, yeah, it's easy for her to say. I mean, she's the daughter. She came after her dad. And basically, they're turning Arc-en-Ciel into a family business. But it's not true. I choicefully decided to come back to Arc-en-Ciel because I do think that the work that I'm going to do there has the impact that I want to achieve in my work, just like any other employee of Arc-en-Ciel. I'm also far from being CEO. I'm actually CEO -2. And I'm here as a person who's in charge of external relations at Arc-en-Ciel. So this is my current job. And to be honest, I actually had to prove myself much more than any other employee being the daughter of the founder. So that being said, after 2 years of founders being only involved in governance, we're still developing very well. And our vocation of a social enterprise is attracting more and more skilled young people. So thank you, and we hope to keep this going much further. Thank you.
So Pierre, we'd like you to come up. Thank you so much. Came. It was no, we are going to stay here. Where is Pierre? So, do we have the portable mics? So, if you want to ask questions, raise your hand, and we'll get you the mic. Please announce your name, and if you are in Ancien, what year you are from. Okay. So, can we have the mic over here? 1 second. Go ahead.
Social program do you have? Because we don't know. Even I don't. So how many social horizontal departments do you have?
So we have around 42 activities. So these are different business units, if you want. So being physiotherapy, redoing clothes, recycling hospital waste. There's a lot of them. Mobility, and in mobility you have distribution of technical waste, fixing wheelchairs, etc. So there's about 42.
Mike over here, George.
Thank you. I'm George Bitar. Pierre, Kim, welcome. First of all, we're really humbled by your presence. I'm glad to hear that there is actually a future for me, given that I was kicked out from a few schools myself. My question to you has to do with being a father of 2 girls. I'm wondering, no, in my case.
In your case, sorry. So
How did you manage to have one of your daughters, at least, get so passionate about giving back and getting really involved in an NGO that has proven itself and continues to? I think I'm asking the question because not only there are, the younger generation is here tonight, but all of us are trying really hard to make sure that as a Lebanese community, we are not individualistic, and as a community, we're giving back. So I would love to hear what is your secret and how did you achieve it? Thank you.
Thank you, George, for the question. About the daughters, and we have 3 daughters. I never ask any of them to join Arc-en-Ciel. By the way, the film we saw, as Kim said, is done by narcoleptic guy and autist guy, etc., in the team of our other daughter who was in charge in Infocom. And she's with us today. And she worked with 7 or 8 persons
Miguel,
in her
stand
team.
up so people see you. Where is Miguel? Okay.
So, and I never asked them to follow or to join, but I guess you are in private equity, and I think it's the same for every other business. And I learned from you, I don't know from you guys, you or Habib, or one of the team, say that do the right things or do things right or both, and numbers will follow. Okay? So do things right, and the girls will follow.
Thank you, Pierre. You're a true inspiration. The words corruptions were mentioned several times tonight. You have shown what love and peace and giving back means. Would you be willing to go for the next elections for the presidents of Lebanon?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not allowed to run for election because I'm Greek Catholic.
So that's done.
Definitely, we should have him as president.
I knew it.
But if I may, I don't know, I don't speak English. You've noticed that I don't speak English very well. But, the main objective is to be happy, okay? And giving is the best way to be happy, giving. And I don't know about the word giving back. Giving back, it seems like I took something I don't deserve, and I'm giving back some of what I don't deserve. So just give, not give back. Just give and feel the happiness of giving.
Bonsoir.
Microphone over here. Ah, okay, go
Sorry,
ahead.
hi. My name is Marina Khouri. I'm Promo 2003. Thank you so much for your speech. This was very inspiring. I myself also went into the nonprofit sector very early on in my career. I'm now in New York representing an NGO at the UN. I wanted to ask you a few questions. First of all, what is your message to Lebanese youth who would like to engage in the public sector and in the NGO sector to become NGO professionals and follow through your mission, first of all? And second of all, what is your analysis of the NGO situation in Lebanon, and what do you think are the ways forward for a sustainable NGO sphere, public sphere, that can actually influence government into making real, concrete, comprehensive decisions going forward? Thank you.
Oh, vast program. I don't know if we have time for this. I'd rather give you my business card and we'll have, but very briefly, my advice to the youth, to the Lebanese youth, that if we always have the same, because no one proposed an alternative, please come back to Lebanon, please run for elections. It's your time, it's your country, and it's your decision. We cannot stay seated and complain and not do nothing. If we have the same corrupted guys, it's because we don't propose an alternative. Propose an alternative. You have now the social media. You manage the social media much better than the others. And after all, it's your country. And it's your future. And for the NGO part, you know, NGOs, as I said, is the legal form of the organization. Okay, so you have advocacy NGOs, service providing NGOs, etc. So it's not the NGO who matters, it's how you do things that matters. Okay, so do things well and the numbers will follow. And we need social enterprise. We need things to be done fair and green. Okay?
Donald.
Donald Jacques Eddy, Promo 72. First of all, I would like to thank Gabby for such a great speaker.
I'm not the only one. This is whole team
Gabby,
works on it.
Okay. Okay, as the chairman of the board. And I would like to, as the chairman of the board. And I would like to congratulate Abuna Reyes, Abuna Batour, how, as a head of this wonderful institution, he could graduate somebody like you in 8 years only, proving to everybody that the other 5 years are superfluous because you kept talking about the Jesuits, about Pierre. It's amazing what you've done. And I know you're Greek Catholic, but allow you to become the president of Lebanon for 7 days. Just tell us what would you do in 7 days. God created the world in 7 days, day 1, day 2. Very briefly, tell us what would you change for the young people to believe in something called Lebanon.
So, I will probably, first of all, give the decision and the vision to the youth, because we are from the past and they are the future, as our very own Khalil Gibran said. Okay, we should not ask them, try to make them follow us. We should try to follow them, because they are dynamic and we are static. First of all, I'll give the power to the youth. Day two, independence of justice. Without check and balances, without contre-pouvoir, we can do anything. So the independence of justice, and day 3, the competence of justice, and day 4, integrity of justice. Okay? And 5 and 6, I think with this is enough to rebuild the country and to have a heaven on earth. But we should do the same with the security forces, independency, competence, and integrity. And education, but maybe change a little bit in education. It's not a cursus to send people to the NASA, etc. It's education, empathy, and generosity, all things, all small things that make us really happy.
Microphone over here, please. Who has microphone?
I have one.
Okay, over here.
Hi, Fadi
Then
Zorbi.
Then Eli over here after Fadi.
Fadi Zorbi, Promo 98. Pierre, what are you doing with your free time, and what's next for you?
I don't know the word free time. What does it mean? I always have something to do. I never get bored. I'm over 60, and I don't know what bored people feels like. I never was bored. So I do a lot of things. You see, Arc-en-Ciel is very diversified, so I'm very curious, and I try to help wherever I can. And I read a lot, I walk a lot, I love nature, and I don't know, it's too long, I do too many things, and I never have free time. And I had to find some free time to come here. And I'm very happy to have done it.
Okay. Eli, over here. He was been. Who has the? Okay. Okay. So you, and then you're next, Eli. Go ahead.
Is it on? Yeah. Hi.
Can you?
Okay. Hi. I'm Tanya. I didn't go to Jamhour, but my father did. My dad, Salim. Hi.
Hi.
And this is the first I'm hearing of your organization, Pierre and Kim. And I think it's easy for all of us to be motivated and passionate about it now. But this is a question for both of you, for past and current. How it's, like I said, it's easy for us to become passionate about this organization once we hear of it, but the initial hard part of it is educating people about your initiative and your company. And so, Pierre, how were you able to educate people when you first started? And Kim, how do you continue doing that? And how can we continue educating people from all the way here in the United States to get involved and make other people passionate about it?
So I think education is the most important thing anyone can do. And we have slogans, as Kim told you, and because slogans are comprehensible, understandable by the PhDs of Arc-en-Ciel and by the illiterate at the same time and the same level. So education is the most important thing. And we always say, it's not what we are doing which is important, it's how we're doing. We have a message, we have a spirit, we have to disseminate it, and we disseminate it the way we are doing things, not by what we are doing. So it's not giving lecture, etc., is how we are doing things, how we produce wheelchairs, how we distribute clothes, how we treat hazardous waste, etc. Our mission is so we never position ourselves as a well-thinking elite who is going to solve the problem of the others. We try to understand exactly what are the real needs, because a thirsty person needs a glass of water and not a nice cake, okay, nice piece of cake. So what is important is not what we are doing. The needs decided what we do. Okay, but we decide to spread our culture, to educate on our spirit and our culture. It's how we do it.
So Pierre looks like he did a better job at this point. You marked some points. Passable. You passé la moyenne. So we were hoping to get 200,000 tonight. I hope we will still get there. We reached 105.
Wow.
So. And I just got a message from actually a friend of mine who couldn't be here tonight, who is willing to give 5,000 if we raise 5,000 in the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So everyone who will give any money, consider that he's giving twice the amount, up to $5,000. So it's open for whomever wants. And then we can still go and then get the envelopes from you when you have them. So,
please, guys,
yes,
help me. I don't know how it feels to have good grades. Please help me to have this experience once in my life.
So there were a couple of more. So I think I'm going to leave the floor for 2 more questions, unless there is a burning one that I will add. Okay, Robert will take your question, Patrice and Eli, and I will close the floor. Eli.
Eli Anaisi, 1972. Pierre and Kim, thank you very much for being with us tonight. One question I have with regard to future. Have you thought of starting teaching social entrepreneurship? I don't mean by this open school with the curriculum, but the way you do it, like you do what you want to do, by bypassing the system, not caring what the government will stamp that piece of paper or not. What are your thoughts? How would you teach? What would you let others follow what you have? So we have 5, 6, 7 arc-en-ciels.
So here I would like to tell 2 things. So Arc-en-Ciel is obviously the result of Jamhour education. So in order to have several Arc-en-Ciel, we need Jamhour to grow and to develop. Okay? And second, about the public institution and the paper stamp. So it's not as easy as I said, so we don't care, etc. We worked hard. The rights and access program that that Kim told you about is a program that were able to make pass a bill of 105 article of law for the disabled person. And we were able also to pass several decrees in the disabled field, in the waste management field, etc. So we are apolitical, but everything we do is political. Okay? But it takes time, unfortunately, with the way things goes in Lebanon. But our aim is to change the whole political way of doing things.
Robert, in the back, do you have microphone? Can you get one for Robert in the back? Then I'll have really the last two, Patrice and Joey. Okay.
Allô, Pierre, bonsoir. Bonsoir. Robert Moumjian, promotion 1977. I am a believer. And I'm coming back to Lebanon. When I retire, because of people like you. It is said in the Talmud, one who can save one life will save the world around. So I tell you what is going to happen in the future. You are going straight to paradise.
Thank you, Robert. Patrice.
Okay, this is not a question. This is a personal thank for a lesson you taught me. As you know, Pierre, I lost a son to heroin overdose. And we met in Beirut, I don't know if you remember, one evening when he was still an addict and alive. And we sat for a whole evening, and you told me about your addiction and your journey through addiction. And at the time, like many people, I was ashamed of who my son was. And by being open, as you did, you liberated me. You felt so at ease with who you were that I felt I had to be open and accept him the way he was. So this is a personal thank to what you helped me in my personal life. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. Thank you for this moving testimony. Joey.
Bonsoir. Joey Diab, promo 2004. Kim, so this was amazing. I've heard about you, I've heard about Arc-en-Ciel. I have a lot of friends who work for you as well, Pierre. I'm amazed by what you've achieved and what you've done and what people talk about, what your mission is in life. My mother Haddad asked the question, but I wouldn't get the actual answer about what can we do to raise awareness to make sure people know about you and make even in the States or Lebanon, anywhere in the world, make sure that we can do anything to help you and let people know about you, your existence, and come back to Lebanon and help out in our vacation. And so, Kim, if you can help us just with, when I go back from Lebanon and for Christmas and tell my friends about you and just go spend a day and help you out in a way or another, what can we do?
Well, you're saying it right. You can do anything. You can donate your time, your energy, your anything. Like we spoke even about you. You work with Apple, and Apple might have a charity program. Each one of you in what they do, I'm sure there is something you can help us in. And if not, you can at least help us consult in what it is that you do. Because you are an expert in what you do. So, you know, we get a lot of people, especially from Europe, who now want to come and help with the refugee crisis. And they all want to come and distribute food and distribute clothes. And anyone can distribute food and clothes. These guys are consultants, or these guys did Stanford. We need the skills for strategic reasons, because it's true that we can attract the best, but we still need people who have traveled the world and who still want to give back. So if you have any time that you would like to spend, please, we are always ready. We actually have opened Arc-en-Ciel USA now, and we're present on social media everywhere. So feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to have you offer your skills. I hope this helps.
Thank you.
Kim, can you tell us one word about the internship program you have? The internship, because a lot of people ask us, our kids are going in the summertime.
Ah, yes.
So
we started,
I know you have a program for the kids.
Yes, we actually started a citizenship program, we call it. It's a program for kids who are living outside, but Lebanese kids, and who come back for the summer. If they want to spend 1 week or 2 weeks doing different actions that are, you know, for the community. So they do 1 day of recycling, 1 day of clothes, 1 day in the Beka, 1 day of agriculture. They learn how to be with different people in different areas of Lebanon through the citizenship program of Arc-en-Ciel. So we hope your kids will come this summer. We have a 1-week program and a 2-week program. And we're starting it in the US because it's the big fashion. And we'll be happy to have your kids come and become, hopefully, better citizens for a week or 2, so they can bring this back here afterwards. If you're more interested about this, we have Carla here, who is our representative in the US, and who will be happy to tell you more about the program.
Merci, Kim.
Thank you for this.
So I look at your score, Pierre, 13,7. Mention assez bien. Hein? Assez bien. It's not bad. Joe, go ahead.
Joe Audi, 1967. I want to ask you, since your daughter and you seem to be determined to leave the job, will you run for political office?
I don't think so. Lately, I tried with some friends, some of them are among us, to try to start a civic movement for political reform. Okay, we worked hard, we are still working, and things are ongoing. I don't intend to run for office for now, but nobody knows, maybe later. We have still a lot to do before we are able to run for office.
So, Karim, did we raise the 5,000? So we can count them. We're going to have 5 more above that. So I know that he will give me more because he just told me this earlier. So I think we're going to reach... yeah. Donc 14,2, ça fait combien per bateau? C'est mention bien. Mention bien, c'est bien. C'est bien. Okay. So, you know, Pierre and Kim. Yes,
may I
go
just
ahead.
end with something? So I said several times that the Jesuit kicked me out, etc. And I didn't even finish school because other schools also kicked me out. But they kicked me out from the door and I went back from the window. And I don't have my back and I don't know university but as a student, but I know it as a teacher. And I taught at USG for 6 or 7 years. And then in France, I was guest speaker in Sciences Po Paris, in Sciences Po Lyon, in Sciences Po Grenoble. And we started Arc-en-Ciel France. And the main activity of Arc-en-Ciel France is to give lecture in universities, and we have 850 hours of lectures Arc-en-Ciel gives in the French universities. And we are very close to the Jesuits. They gave us to manage the Domaine de Tanneil, which is a beautiful domain. And we have an overall a memorandum of understanding, a partnership with the university, St. Joseph University, and several MOUs with 3 different faculties of USG. And I am also myself a member du Conseil consultatif of Faculty of Science, even though I never had a single course of chemie or physics or something. So the Jesuits will always astonish us.
So Pierre and Kim, thank you for being an incredibly inspiring speaker, both of you. We're so proud. We're so proud. And thank you for all the support and for the testimony of people who stood up, asked questions, and shared their feelings.